Tracking lingering Sierra snow showers, plus now the potential for more weekend showers ahead. I'm ABC 10 Chief Meteorologist Monica Wood. So let's take a look at this May shower activity that we've seen over the past 12 hours. You can see the snow accumulation has largely been north of I-80 and right through that 80-50 corridor. Not much moving its way south of Highway 50. That's yet to come. A little closer perspective again. Some lighter totals falling in that 80-50 corridor and just north of I-80, anywhere from about 1 to almost 6 inches in some isolated pockets of the Sierra. Our rain accumulation is more in line with about a trace to 1/100th of an inch of rain. Higher totals up through the foothills, totaling closer to about 1/4 of an inch of rain. Again, we're not quite done yet, but as far as the valley, we were lucky to squeeze out any little drop that we could, and we got close to about 1/100th to close to about 1/10 of an inch of rain. Fairfield closing in on about 1/4 of an inch, and then higher totals again through the foothills, and some snow for the Sierra still accumulating right now. What's ahead for the next 24 hours? Not much for the valley, but we're going to get another close to 1/4 of an inch of rain for the foothills, coming in with the potential for thunderstorms as well. And more snow expected for the Sierra, but this time around we're going to see some accumulation south of Highway 50. So expect anywhere from about 1 to 5 inches of additional accumulation coming in from the back edge of this weather system. As I mentioned, much of the valley will be dry heading into our Tuesday forecast, but overnight into early Tuesday, a little band of precipitation trying to make its way through the central part of the Sacramento Valley. And then again, we're expecting some snowfall to occur in the Sierra as well as that 80-50 corridor. If your travel plans take you into the high country, be prepared for more winter driving conditions. And this is a cooler blast of air, so that snow level has been hovering below the passes. Get ready to chain up, and some wintry slick conditions in the mountains that will linger through our Tuesday afternoon forecast. And you'll see again south of Highway 50 along 395 heading towards Yosemite, dealing with some snow showers and some spotty rain showers, even some embedded thunderstorms potentially through the foothills for our Tuesday. We saw that cold blast of air come through on our late Sunday and Monday, and now we're going to see the reverse of that heading into the middle of the week, back to some warmer conditions. So we're kind of in that weird phase in May where we're transitioning out of the rainy season and into the heat season. Our weather playlist is always available on ABC 10 Plus, our app that's free wherever you stream on TV. We not only have these extended forecasts, but also weather explainers and weather and climate specials. The temperature trend really telling the story. Over the weekend, it was a mixed bag of heat on Saturday. Then for Mother's Day, that fierce wind came through and it dropped those temperatures into the mid 70s, 76 for Sacramento Executive on Sunday. So that average high was running about 78, 79 degrees, where we got that big pulse of warm air coming through, delivering our top 2 warmest days so far this year. In terms of our temperatures, that's going to rank as the top that we've seen, 94 degrees. And you can see prior to that, it was the day before, May 8th at 88 degrees. And since then, we've seen some mid 80s to right around upper 80s, but nothing in the 90s yet. It is that time of year that we start to see kind of flirting with that 100-degree mark in parts of the valley. So those are going to be our 2 warmest days, not only for the year so far, but also for the month. And you can see we dropped those temperatures on Sunday, where we saw those cooler afternoon highs. We've only seen 3 days that we've seen cooler than average conditions, but driven in by this low pressure system kind of carving out that storm track, we are getting that bigger change to the colder air coming in from the Pacific Northwest. So we're kind of driving in some of that Canadian air, that cooler air that's to the north of us, and helping to bring down that snow line, also adding to the instability. So just keep that in mind. For the next couple of days, we've got at least the risk of thunderstorms through the central and northern part of the Sacramento Valley and surrounding foothills. That will shift ever so slightly to the south and east for our Tuesday outlook as the back edge of this weather system starts to pull its way eastward. Our wettest May that we've had on record not too long ago, 2019. That's when we picked up over 3 inches of rain for the month. Our average is just about 3/4 of an inch of rain. So we generally don't see a whole lot of rain in the month of May. it can catch some people off guard where they're used to seeing sunshine and more on the trend of drier weather, and will certainly shape up like that in the long range forecast. But every so often we get a little wave of moisture moving through, and that can help us to get to about 3/4 of an inch for the month. After this month, we basically don't see anything. So for some people that like the rain and the cooler weather, I know you're holding on to every last day that we can have of that type of weather, because not only do we start to dry things out, but warm things up. So by June, our average monthly high temperature is almost to that 90-degree mark, and then it's up from there into July and August with that summer heat. Our last rainy day last year was May 4th, the year prior May 6th, and then back in 2022 it was all the way deep into June on the 5th, but the year prior to that, 2021, it was March 18th. So you can see it's anywhere from the middle of March to early June. At that point, we really don't see much more than a sprinkle here or there, if anything at all. And that's when we start to really draw on those reserves that we've been building through the rainy season, with 50% of our annual precipitation already in the rear view mirror. We've already hit our peak snowpack, and now we're on to that peak snow melt, and we're almost past that period as well. Take a look at this. Our Sierra snowmelt has accelerated, especially with this recent heat that we've seen. This was our peak snowpack on April 1st, where if we account for the entire Sierra, we hit right about 100% of average, but that was largely due to a really healthy and above normal snowpack in the northern part of the state. Get a couple of heat situations coming through, and look at how quickly that melts off, and it all is taken with gravity downhill. So you can see our current compared to our average. We are accelerating our snow melt at a quicker pace than we normally do. And that means we're kind of getting through what we call our savings bank of water, our savings account, if you will. It accounts for 1/3 of our water supply, the Sierra snowpack. So when we melt it off too quickly, we have to be a little bit more cautious on usage and storage. We're only at 51% of average in the northern Sierra and Trinity, again, showcasing that snow melt has been very aggressive this year. The central Sierra is at 47% of average, and the southern Sierra at 35% of average to date. So our statewide is at 46. Again, we're melting off that snowpack pretty quickly here. As far as what's going on right now, though, this is adding a little bit of a pause to that accelerated snowmelt, which is great news, because again, our reservoirs are looking great in terms of our capacity, our supply, our averages. We're at about 90 to 95% full for those reservoirs. Oroville almost at 100% full. All of the reservoirs above average, and that is true as well south of Highway 50 in through the central part of the state, where our reservoirs are about 75 to 85, almost 90% full, but everything running pretty much at or above average. San Luis, that's that off-stream pumped reservoir. That water managers have a little bit more flexibility. It's not directly snow melt fed, and so they can pump some water over in that direction and then feed it through the California aqueduct into Southern California. Recent water years are really providing a big buffer for us in terms of our precipitation. So things are looking pretty good at this point in terms of our water supplies because of the previous couple of years. Our drought monitor showcasing again where we're hardest hit with dry conditions, and that's going to be in Southern California, where our conditions just really haven't manifested with big rain events this season. So we haven't seen anything in the way of big changes week to week. The only change that I saw was downgrading that exceptional category. So that was some good news there. But all in all, when you look at the numbers, it's almost week to week, virtually no change. The big bonus is that Northern California isn't in any sort of drought category. So it takes the pressure of having to supply the entire state with water that is drought stricken. Again, not great news, any part of California being in drought, but at least we're seeing some areas that are not in drought, which can help to offset the areas that are. What really drove us into big deficits here was January. That tends to be our wettest month of the year, and we just really didn't see anything. February, we caught up a bit, but then March ended up dry, as did April. And we're almost to the middle of May, and we're putting a little bit in the rain bucket, but not a ton. So our statewide precipitation, and this is where you really start to see the line of demarcation, and that's going to be I-80, the interstate that runs from San Francisco through Sacramento and on the north side of Lake Tahoe. Those areas north of that line, well above average. Beautiful numbers, 5 to almost 10 inches above normal, whereas right along that line and south, you can see how we've seen the deficits grow. So really the storm track has been quite favorable for the northern part of the state. Our drought outlook, it's expected to persist in parts of the Central Valley and then also for Southern California. Not expecting much in the way of development, though, through the northern part of the state. But as we start to turn our attention more to less rain, more heat, want to kind of look at that soil moisture. Where might we see the most vulnerability if we get a wind event for some fires? And that is always almost the case going to be in the Central Valley, low-lying areas, some of the lower foothills and towards the coast, Diablo Canyon, as well as parts of the coastal range. We'll start to see some of the early onset of some dryness and the vulnerability for some fires. Later on in the season, we'll get to those Sierra conditions, but right now it's kind of low-level areas. So here's a look at our futurecast, and again, we'll get some more showers coming in mainly for the Sierra and the foothills. And then as that low moves out, we'll get a little pulse of warmer weather, but then we're right back at it. That low developing off the coast brings that storm track down a little bit farther, and we're going to bring in the chance for showers once again for our Friday and possibly Saturday forecast through some of the elevated areas. 8 to 14 day climate outlook, though, we're right back to the likely warmer, likely drier scenario. And so it's right about this time of year as we're starting to edge towards the end of May that we get awfully close to seeing some of those 90s and near 100-degree temperatures. In terms of our little warm up midweek, it's not much. We're only going to be about 5 degrees above average, nothing too extreme. But we're right around the corner of when we typically see our first 95-degree day and first 100-degree day, just about a month away now in June. We've already hit that 90. That was pretty much right on target. We were a little bit ahead of pace for that first 85-degree day as well as our first 80. So if all things are considered, it's very possible we'll hit our first 95-degree day right around the middle to end of May. And then right after that, we're going to get into our June and likely 100-degree heat. In the meantime, we're still on the cool phase of things here. 40s up top for the Sierra, 50s and 60s down low. Still tracking that chance for showers and thunderstorms. We're in the 60s along the coast. We're still unseasonably cool for inland areas, hitting highs in the 70s, putting us about, not quite 10 degrees below average, but around 5 to 10 degrees below average. So we get a little bit of warmth here Thursday into Friday, and then we're right back at it, at least for the Sierra, with that chance of showers. Right now, it looks like most favorable conditions for those showers will be in the higher elevations, not seeing too much in the way of consistency for low elevation rain for the weekend. So we'll call it dry here, at least for our weekend outlook. We're still cool for our Tuesday. We start to warm things up midweek, and then we're right back to near normal conditions for Saturday before we start to see warmer weather again by the following work week.